sports fans? What is up, sports fans? It is yours, the A Train. What do we have on tap today? Well, y'all have to excuse me as I'm still working on the ring light, which I do have a ring light. I hope you can see me a whole lot better than what you have been seeing me. And first of all, I want to get some things out the way. Yesterday, I turned 55 years old, and you birthday people know that. Sometimes we have a tendency to want to flip numbers around. Like I was 54 for a whole year, so someone asked me how old I am, I just kind of play crazy and say I'm 45. And they say, "Well, you don't look 45." I'm like, "Good," because if you knew the real truth, I'm actually 54. But now I'm 55. So guess what? You can switch those two numbers around however you want to, and it's going to be 55, 55, 55, 55. Absolutely. So it's a blessing to see another year. So what is on tap? Well, there are some trade rumors going on, and so most of the talk this summer outside of the summer league and watching some of the future stars playing been where will Russell Westbrook go? We know last week him and his agent, after 14 years, they parted ways because of irreconcilable differences. And maybe it was a situation where Russell was like, "Well, I need to get out of LA." And his agent may have said, "Well, right now the only option you have is LA." So while there's been a lot of chatter about the Los Angeles Lakers acquiring Kyrie Irving, it turns out they recently had conversations with the Indiana Pacers about a potential trade. So we're going to get into this trade talk. ESPN's Dave McMenamin provided the latest on trade talks between the Los Angeles Lakers and Pacers during this Wednesday's episode of NBA Today. There's currently no indication to whether or not Russell Westbrook would be included in a trade involving the Lakers and Pacers. One thing that has been learned over the last day or two, there has been some talks re-engaged between the Lakers and Indiana Pacers. Now, that would center around a Buddy Hield deal in terms of also having Miles Turner in that deal. Or perhaps it could be a secondary move where you would be talking about a Taylor Horton Tucker type of package to try to get Buddy Hield deal, so we could see whether that would affect Russell or not. In 26 games with the Pacers last season, Hield averaged 18.2 points on 36.2% shooting from beyond the arc. His current contract during this offseason. Where would his next destination be? That's one thing you have to take into consideration with Russell Westbrook. He has a ginormous, and when I say ginormous, he has a ginormous contract that nobody really wants to contend with based on the decline in Russell Westbrook's game. Of course, I said all along when the deal was made that sent Russell Westbrook to the Lakers, I said all along that was a bad fit. Financially, it was a good deal for Russell Westbrook, but the pieces just did not fit. Throughout Russell Westbrook's career, he's been a ball-dominant person. Well, you got Davis, you got LeBron James, player, coach, general manager. Let's just call it like it is. Yes, they have the powers that be with the Lakers. Poor Jenny Buss. Now you understand why I come to the owner for the Cavaliers said, finally, I get my team back. So one of the things you have to do, since I brought that up, it's plain and simple. Strip LeBron James of his general managership. Put LeBron James in a situation where the only thing he has to do is worry about keeping his body healthy and playing basketball. Because if you stack him up, yes, he has the rings. And I'm going to throw another name in here, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant just wants to play ball. LeBron James wants to play ball. He wants to be coach. He wants to be general manager. He wants to be movie star. He wants to open up schools. LeBron has a lot on his plate. And I admire the man because he can balance it out. But at the end of the day, yes, LeBron should have some say in who he wants to play around, but LeBron should not have so much power to where he gets rid of a whole slew of players. Kyle Kuzma, he seems to be flourishing where he's at. Alonzo Ball, once he got from under the shadows, because I'm not going to say wings, but if it was wings, it's a big wingspan. He got from under the wingspan of LeBron James, went to Chicago, outside of injury, he started flourishing. He was a main cog in that Chicago Bulls roster. I'm pretty sure there's some other names that I've missed, but bottom line is, if you have a team general manager not named LeBron James, you need to be able to call the shots. Yes, get some feedback from LeBron James, but at the end of the day, team ownership, take ownership of the team. That way, if it backfires on you, at least you can take the blame. In essence, you're still taking the blame because you let one man, LBJ, be the dictator. It's plain and simple. So, what else can we talk about? How about the state of college football? College football. What is it headed to? Where is it going to? We have NIL. We have transfer portals. Of course, I posed the question on a local radio show because they were talking about college baseball. Anybody that knows anything about college baseball, it's this right here. And you have to admire those coaches that can manage and adjust on the fly in season and out of season. Because college baseball is that one thing where a coach has to go up against two things. He's recruiting a player out of high school that the major league scouts are looking at. And though he may sign on the dotted line to go to that college, who's to say he doesn't get a good deal from a major league team? And he says, you know what? Thanks for your time. I appreciate you guys recruiting me. Say all the right things. I'm going to Major League Baseball. Or you may have a player 2 years and he gets good feedback. Next you know, he's going to Major League Baseball. In other words, baseball coaches have adapted to the fact that there will be turnover and change within their roster, which leads me to the next question. Who do you think has it worse, a college baseball coach or a college basketball coach? I'll get back to that. But the state of college football. And there are some things that you need to. 5 still a few months away, but college football fans across the country are concerned about the current state. 2021 season, Texas and Oklahoma City. Recently, USC and UCLA mimic the Longhorns and Sooners, except they are departing from the Pac-12 for the Big Ten. Now, here's what gets me now, because if you look at these conferences that has numbers attached to the end of their name, Big 12 was anything but Big 12. They think they had, what, 10 schools? The Pac 12, Lord knows they had more than 12 teams, which would suggest to me somebody don't know how to count, or I know they're keeping the name out of tradition. But conference realignment can be good for the game, but it also comes with hesitancy and criticism. Since then, plenty of rumors are swirling around. Here's what you need to know about the current state of college football with respect to conference alignment. The Big 12 is making moves to absorb remaining Pac 12 teams. The Big 12 was once seen as a conference near dissolution when Oklahoma and Texas announced their plans to leave. Today, the conference is making it clear that it isn't going anywhere, and it is actually trying to improve, thanks to the departure of one Bob Bowlesby, who about sunk the Big 12. Yes, I said Bob Bowlesby about sunk the Big 12. Here's why I say Bob Bowlesby messed up at. If you look at the Big 10, they have the Big 10 network. You look at the SEC, they have their network. The ACC have a network. I believe the Pac-12 may have a network. I'm not sure. But those three other conferences I mentioned, I know they have a network. Well, when it came to the Big 12, Texas has the Longhorn Network. That in itself is what stifled the Big 12. That is what caused the ruckus. That is what caused the uprooting of teams such as your Texas A&Ms, your Colorado Buffaloes, Nebraska, who has not been, to me, in my opinion, has not been a good fit, none whatsoever, in the Big 10. They do not have no natural rivals, which on that note, the Big 12 has targeted Arizona State, Arizona, Oregon, Colorado, once a member of the Big 12, Utah, and Washington as well. Can we throw Nebraska in the mix? Would it be favorable right about now for the Big 12 to target a Nebraska and bring them back where they belong? Because at best, all Nebraska is receiving is what's part of that deal of that Big 10 network. Now, if the new commissioner for the Big 12 comes in and says, you know what? Screw you, Texas. No one team is bigger than the conference. We are, this day, moving forward, going to come up with our own Big 12 network. Come up with a good financial package. Me personally, and I know there are other guys that have their own channels here on YouTube, and they follow the Big 12 closely. I'm going to say this because nobody else is saying it. The Big 12 should go ahead and target Nebraska and bring them back where they belong. But other Pac-12 schools, Arizona, Arizona State, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, Washington, are looking to follow USC and UCLA in leaving. The Big 12 may be the best possible landing spot for them. So everyone's waiting on Notre Dame. Yes, the team with the gold helmets. Though Notre Dame's football program is independent, the other Fighting Irish athletic programs are members of the ACC. There is a growing belief that Notre Dame will make the move over to the Big Ten. Before extending invites to other programs, the Big Ten and likely others are waiting to see what Notre Dame decides to do, which leads to radio silence from the Pac-12 now. USC UCLA announcement was a catalyst in the Big 12. It now seems as if just about every other program in the conference is exploring other opportunities with either the Big 10 or the Big 12. When Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12, it immediately added 4 nationally relevant programs in UCF, Houston, BYU, and Cincinnati. Y'all remember Cincinnati? You know, one year they just missed out on playoff, and everybody was saying they deserve a shot, and they got their shot last year by being in the CFP. as one of the 4 finalists. The question is, can they sustain that? The Pac-12 has not done the same and doesn't seem to be moving with any sense of urgency. Instead, it is attempting to land a new media rights deal, which, if lucrative, could lure programs back in. The ACC, however, remains untouched for now. ACC is the only remaining Power 5 conference to not be impacted by conference realignment yet. However, there's plenty of time for things to change, and CBS Sports college football analyst Dennis Dodd believes Miami, Clemson, and Florida State may soon migrate to the SEC. Breaking the ACC grant of rights might require a significant 8-figure exit fee, assuming the contract isn't successfully challenged in court. However, such a penalty could be financed over a period of years, while the new school reap an annual windfall, writes Dodd. The SEC is quiet, however, too quiet. The SEC seems to be playing a waiting game. Sure, a few ACC programs have been tied to the SEC, but nothing has come of it. The conference will likely wait for one of 2 things to happen. Programs of interest reach out and request an invitation, or the Big Ten makes moves that the SEC needs to match in order to keep up. So there is a lot right there to digest. So what are your thoughts on all this realignment talk, all these trade rumors? Please feel free to leave me your comments. I would love to hear them. Whether it be on trade rumors, whether it be on NCAA realignment, how do you think this will affect even college basketball in the long run? Because I know for a fact there are some schools, as we speak, have a basketball program and no football program. How will that affect them? So a lot remains to be seen. Yet while we're trying to find answers, we have to wait and see to get the right answer. Anyway, talking sports with the A Train. I want you to also check out my podcast, A Train Sports Talk Podcast, on many podcast platforms. Be glad to hear your feedback. I have poll questions on my podcast, especially if you're on Spotify, which, let me give you this disclaimer. I am on the Anchor podcast platform, which is powered by Spotify. So that's how you get to answer the poll questions that I will pose to you. But this has been another edition of Talking Sports with the A Train. Yours truly, Anthony Smith. Do me a favor, like the video. As I've heard others say, it just helps with the algorithms. That's a long word. That's a big word in my vocabulary here in Wichita, Kansas. But yes, leave me your comments. Give me a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, get this out to as many people as possible. I would love your feedback. But until the next time, take care of yourself and each other. God bless.